The member for Wakefield. Now, the member for Boothby has the call.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. My question is to the Assistant Treasurer. Will the Assistant Treasurer update the House on the government's commitment to protect the retirement savings of all Australians? And are there any alternatives to this approach?
I call the Honourable the Assistant Treasurer. The member will resume his seat for the management of opposition business on a point of order.
Madam Speaker, I refer you to page 555 of practice, where it's been clear for a long time that speakers are not willing to look at phrases such as "are there any other policy approaches?" We've got an example of that. They've been coming through for a while. Speakers over the last number of terms have started to rule those questions out, and I ask you to uphold that precedent. I don't dispute that the rest of the question is in order.
I would say to the manager of opposition business that I have heard these phrases from both sides of the House over a long period of time, and my ruling is that they stand. I call the Assistant Treasurer.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I thank the member for Boothby for his question and acknowledge his strong contribution to protecting the retirement savings of all Australians. Madam Speaker, the Coalition is the best friend of superannuation Australians have ever had, Madam Speaker. And this is because we have championed self-managed super funds. This is because we continue to support an increase in the super guarantee, even though those opposite refuse to fund it. And this is because we, in this year's budget and in this term of government, have committed to make no unexpected or adverse changes to superannuation. Madam Speaker, I'm asked, Madam Speaker, am I aware of any alternatives? Well, I'm aware of at least 4 alternatives, and all of them sit opposite, Madam Speaker. The first was the former member for Griffith, Kevin Rudd, who said on the eve of the 2007 election, "We will not change superannuation one jot, one tittle." Second, Madam Speaker, I'm aware of the records of the Rudd and the Gillard governments, where they made at least 12 adverse changes to superannuation and increased taxation by at least $9 billion on super. Madam Speaker, third, I'm aware of that famous press release by the member for McMahon, the Professor of Ouzo Economics, titled "5-Year Freeze on Superannuation Changes," Madam Speaker. That commitment lasts at less than 48 hours, Madam Speaker. And then, of course, I'm aware of the fourth, from the Leader of the Opposition, the man who called superannuation a legalised tax haven, who announced on the 22nd of April this year that he was going to increase 2 taxes on superannuation. But it's starting to unravel before his very eyes, and he's been caught out by the Parliamentary Budget Office, Madam Speaker, because in The Australian on May the 21st, the Parliamentary Budget Office has reportedly advised that Labor's 2 taxes to super will adversely impact on 425,000 Australians. Madam Speaker, more than 3 times the number that Labor claimed in their press release. And then when it comes to the revenue grab that Labor claims it is getting from its tax increases, the Parliamentary Budget Office has said, I quote, "These costings are considered to be of low reliability." Madam Speaker. Now, the Labor Party has a $58.6 billion budget black hole, and the Leader of the Opposition is in a desperate cash grab. All of this from a Leader of the Opposition who said on Radio National with Frank Kelly, quote, "I've spent my whole working life to make sure ordinary Australians have more money when they retire," Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, this is hollow comfort for the more than 400,000 Australians that will be adversely hit by this latest, but not the last, Labor raid on super.